Listen to me very carefully. Your time is running out. Every second you waste scrolling, sleeping in, or chasing distractions is a second someone else is building, winning, and getting richer while you stay exactly the same. You're not broke because the world is unfair. You're broke because you refuse to lock in. Life doesn't wait for lazy men. Either you get disciplined right now or you get left behind forever. Discipline is freedom. People think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want, but that's the mindset of the weak. Real freedom comes when you own yourself, when your mind bends to your command, not the other way around. I wasn't born into wealth. I didn't have everything handed to me, and I damn sure wasn't the most talented guy in the room. I had to build myself brick by brick through discipline. I remember times when I was completely broke, sitting in a small flat, staring at bills I couldn't pay. There were nights I went to bed hungry. I didn't have the luxury to be lazy. Nobody was coming to save me. That's when I realized something. Discipline is the weapon of kings. If I woke up late, if I scrolled my phone all day, if I wasted energy on things that didn't matter, I'd stay broke forever. So I locked in every day, no matter how I felt. I pushed. I trained until my body screamed. I worked until my eyes burned. And I built businesses when everyone else was partying. Do you think I mossied wanted to get punched in the face in the ring? Do you think I enjoyed waking up with broken ribs, swollen eyes, and blood in my mouth? Of course not. But I kept showing up because discipline made me stronger than pain. Every fight, every sacrifice, every long night, those were the bricks that built the man you see today. Now, when you live without discipline, you're a prisoner, you're chained to your laziness, your cravings, your weakness. You eat junk because it's easy, you stay broke because work feels hard, you scroll because it's comfortable. That's not freedom, that's slavery. Discipline is what cuts those chains. When you decide to control yourself, when you force yourself to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, you rise above the average man. You stop being a puppet and become the master of your life. That's why I tell you, stop looking for motivation, stop waiting for the perfect mood. Freedom doesn't come from feelings. Freedom comes from discipline. Build it now and you'll own your future. Stop drifting, stop delaying, stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in because if you don't, someone else already is. Most of you are trapped because you can't cut the noise. You wake up, grab your phone, and before your feet even touch the ground, you're already drowning in other people's nonsense, photinations, gossip, fake drama, news designed to keep you scared and weak. That's why you're stuck. Your mind isn't even yours anymore. You're addicted to distraction, and distraction is the enemy of progress. When I was broke, I had to make a decision. I could keep wasting time, listening to useless chatter, arguing with people online, hanging around friends who were going nowhere, or I could cut it all off and lock in on building myself. I lost friends because of it. People called me arrogant, said I'd changed. They didn't understand that while they were wasting nights in clubs, chasing girls who didn't care, drinking their futures away, I was sitting alone, focused, sharpening my mind, and building businesses. I wasn't antisocial. I was anti-distraction. I remember sitting in that small flat, the rent overdue, my car broken down outside, and realizing nobody's opinion was going to save me. Gossip wasn't going to pay my bills. Distractions weren't going to get me out of that hole. The only way out was to silence the noise and focus on the mission. I stopped caring about what people thought of me. I stopped chasing approval. The world wanted me weak, tired, average. I refused. Do you understand what happens when you cut the noise? Suddenly you see the world clearly. You see the hours you've been wasting. You see how people around you secretly want you to stay average because your growth threatens their comfort. You realize your time is priceless and giving it away to nonsense is the greatest robbery of your life. Cutting the noise is painful at first. You'll feel alone, misunderstood. But that loneliness is the crucible where you forge greatness. That silence is where you hear your true voice, your true goals, your true potential. And once you taste the focus, once you feel that clarity, you'll never go back to the chaos. Stop drifting, stop delaying, stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in because if you don't, someone else already is. Pain is the greatest teacher you'll ever meet. Everybody wants success, but nobody wants the suffering that forges it. You think comfort will make you strong? You think taking the easy route will turn you, into somebody worth remembering? Never. It's pain that sharpens a man. It's struggle that builds power. When I was fighting professionally, I went through hell, broken ribs, black eyes, cuts that wouldn't stop bleeding. I'd wake up sore, stiff, sometimes barely able to move. And you know what? I still showed up to train. I still fought because I knew something most men will never understand. Pain doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. Every bruise, every scar, every beating I took was a step toward becoming unbreakable. There were nights I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, body screaming, bank account empty, wondering if I could even keep going. That's when pain speaks the loudest. And in that moment, you have two choices. You let it break you or you let it build you. I refused to let it break me. I told myself, if I can take this, I can take anything. That's how warriors are born. Pain doesn't just live in the gym or the ring. Pain is sitting broke in a cold apartment, hearing people laugh at you, watching others succeed while you're stuck. I felt that too. And instead of running from it, I embraced it. I let it fuel me. Every doubt, every insult, every failure, I turned it into fire. I used that fire to push harder, work longer, and fight smarter than anyone else. The truth is most people run from pain, and that's why they stay weak. They avoid discomfort, so they never grow. But the man who locks in, who faces pain head on, who says, I will not quit no matter how bad it hurts, that man becomes unstoppable. You can't cheat the process. You can't skip the suffering. If you want the power, you must endure the pain. And once you've been through hell and survived, nothing on this earth can scare you again. Stop drifting. Stop delaying. Stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in, because if you don't, someone else already is. Time is the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face because you can't stop it. You can't fight it and you can't get it back once it's gone. People act like they've got forever, like tomorrow is promised, but the clock doesn't care about your excuses. Every second that passes is another piece of your life gone, and once it's spent, it's gone forever. When I was broke, I didn't have the luxury of wasting time. I remember sitting in that small apartment, rent overdue, wondering how the hell I was going to make it. Every hour I wasted feeling sorry for myself was an hour I could have used to find a solution. I realized quickly that if I didn't respect time, I'd stay in that hole forever. So I started moving differently. So no more lying in bed scrolling. No more sitting around waiting for things to change. Every day became a war against the clock. There were mornings I woke up exhausted from training, body aching, eyes burning from lack of sleep. And I had to decide, do I waste the day or do I squeeze every ounce of progress out of it? I chose the second option. I knew every man, richer, stronger, smarter than me, had the same Artersies hours. If they could build empires in that time, what excuse did I have? None. That's what most people don't understand. Time doesn't slow down for you because you're tired. It doesn't pause because you're broke. It doesn't care if you're depressed, distracted, or unmotivated. The clock keeps ticking while you're sitting there thinking someone else is acting. While you're wasting hours, someone else is locking in, building, grinding, getting ahead. You need to treat your time like it's the most valuable currency you'll ever own, because it is. Money lost can be earned back. Opportunities missed can sometimes return, but time wasted, it's gone forever. The man who understands this becomes unstoppable because he lives every day like it actually matters. Stop drifting. Stop delaying. Stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in, because if you don't, someone else already is. Winners care about results, not feelings. That's the difference between men who succeed and men who stay stuck forever. Your feelings don't matter. Your excuses don't matter. The world doesn't pay you because you felt tired. Nobody rewards you because you were sad or lazy or not in the mood. Life only pays you for results. When I was fighting, do you think I always felt like training? Do you think I woke up every morning excited to go get punched in the face? To push my body through hell? Of course not. There were days I could barely move. My hands were swollen, my ribs bruised, my legs heavy from yesterday's beating. My feelings told me to quit. My feelings told me to rest, but results don't care. The fight date was set, and when I stepped into that ring, nobody was going to ask how I felt. They only cared if I won. The same thing applied when I was broke, sitting in that small apartment staring at overdue bills. My feelings told me to panic, to complain, to blame the world. But feelings weren't going to pay the rent, results would. So I forced myself to work. I built businesses, I studied, I hustled, not because I felt good, but because I refused to stay stuck. That's the truth. Most people can't accept. Yep, they're addicted to comfort, ruled by their moods. If they feel motivated, they work. If they don't, they quit. That's why they never break free. But the man who locks in understands this. Action comes first, feelings come later. Discipline over mood, results over emotions. Every single great thing I've achieved came because I ignored how I felt. Success doesn't come to men who wait for motivation. It comes to men who show up no matter what. That's why results are everything. They're the only proof that you didn't waste your time, that you didn't waste your life. Stop drifting. Stop delaying. Stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in, because if you don't, someone else already is. Comfort is the killer of men. You chase comfort because it feels good in the moment, but it destroys you in the long run. A warm bed, endless entertainment, cheap pleasures, these things numb you, they weaken you. They strip away your potential until there's nothing left but regret. Comfort is easy, but greatness is rare, and greatness is built in discomfort. When I was younger, broke and fighting for every scrap I had, there was no comfort. I lived in small rooms, counting coins to afford food, driving a car that barely worked. I could have accepted that life. I could have chosen comfort and failure, sit back, complain, settle for being average. But I refused. I decided I would rather suffer now and build a legacy that would outlive me than sit comfortable and die forgotten. I remember the fights when I walked into the ring injured, knowing it would hurt, knowing every punch would feel like fire through my ribs. Comfort told me to stay home. Legacy told me to fight anyway. And when I won those battles, it wasn't just about the trophy. It was about proving to myself that I was a man who would never back down. The truth is, nobody will remember you for being comfortable. Nobody will care how many hours you slept, how many parties you went to, or how many times you avoided pain. They will remember what you built, what you stood for, and how you fought when things were hard. That's legacy. Legacy is why people still speak names long after those men are gone. Comfort dies with you. Legacy echoes forever. Every day you choose comfort over progress, you're burying your potential alive. Every day you lock in, push through, and build, you're writing a story that can't be erased. One day you'll face the end. You were so from Ball for Dermino. One day you'll face the end, and in that moment, comfort will mean nothing. But the life you built, the strength you showed, the impact you left, that will live on. Choose discomfort now so you can leave behind a legacy that will never fade. Stop drifting. Stop delaying. Stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in, because if you don't, someone else already is. Stop drifting, stop delaying, stop living like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's time to lock in, because if you don't, someone else already is.